Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I have a constitutional obligation to put in 9 justices. So I think you're going to be very impressed.
Will you? Probably. You know, if you like Trump. If you don't like Trump, then you think that whoever he puts in there is the worst human being on earth, and that, it's over for you. It's amazing. I was trying to talk. One of the headlines I saw yesterday, and I want to point this out, just the insanity of this chaotic, bizarre world we live in. This was an actual headline. I from a person who's, I guess, a journalist. I'm not sure exactly, but this is a headline about Amy Coney Barrett. It says, "This is Amy Coney Barrett, the potential RBG replacement who hates your uterus." I thought, what in God's name are you talking about? Well, she's pro-life, so she hates your uterus. And I'm like, I don't even have a uterus. That's the point. They're going to control everything we do. They're going to control this. They're going to control that. I said, I think you're reading in a lot into this. And it's like everything else. Do you remember when Obama got elected? People freaking out on the right. Sharia law. That was always great. Remember that? Sharia law. Because he's a secret Kenyan Muslim. And it's Sharia law time. And then it was going to be, oh, yeah, okay, well, it's not Sharia law, but he's definitely taking your guns. That's happening. I said, okay. He was the best gun salesman ever. Never took your guns. Did he? No. It's the same thing here. Somehow she dies and everybody else thinks, well, this is it. It's the Handmaid's Tale. Everybody's going to have to walk around back in the kitchen, right? Quit your jobs. Not allowed to have a career. This is it. It's not working that way. I don't think Roe v. Wade's... Look, are some states going to challenge stuff? It's possible. That's absolutely possible. But even Amy Coney Barrett said, look, this has pretty much been settled. Now it's about the funding. Now that's what this is about. Who pays for it? That's the battle we're having at this time. But it's the freaking out, the building up, the anger. For me, I have never been that emotional in a situation like over a politician or a court. Just, right? Like, there are people who are sentenced to long prison terms and death who don't have the reaction that some people have had over the last couple days. And I was like, wow. It is. Even around here, I've talked to a few people. And they all seem to think that the day that the new person, whoever he or she is announced, is the day that they have to head to the kitchen. And I'm like, you're insane. Settle down. First of all, the confirmation, shortest confirmation, I think it was 17 or 19 days in recent years. I think Sandra Day O'Connor was 33. A few other ones have been much shorter, and we're down to 2 now. There was a third option that was put out there, but younger, not quite the experience, not quite the name. We're down to the final 2 when it comes to who will replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
At the top of President Trump's list, federal appeals court judge Amy Coney Barrett, a devout Catholic who has strong support among religious conservatives and anti-abortion activists. Also under consideration, U.S. Circuit Judge Barbara Lagoa, a Cuban-American whom Republicans hope could help the president win Latino voters in the battleground of Florida.
Well, I don't think that's a problem. I think the Latino voters, in particular Cubans, they're not a huge fan of Biden. He'll struggle there with a lot of that. Now, the younger generation's different. Mom and dad escaped a place that apparently these kids all want to run back to. But those are your 2 right there. Well, he shouldn't do this. He shouldn't be able to do this. He's got a right to do this. I know it drives you crazy to think that. but he's the president of the United States. And it just happens to be in a situation where, remember, nomination doesn't mean confirmation. It doesn't. Let's not forget that. So nominating somebody doesn't mean confirmation of someone. We forget that. So take a deep breath. Secondly, he has a right to do this, and the Senate has a right to hear. President Obama nominated someone. They didn't have a hearing, but he did nominate someone. He's still the president of the United States, no matter how much you hate it, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
The president is elected for 4 years, not 3 years, so the power that he has in year 3 continues into year 4, and maybe some members of the Senate will wake up and appreciate that that's how it should be.
Yeah. And I thought Merrick Garland should have at least had a hearing. I thought the Republicans should have given him the opportunity to be heard. Didn't mean you were going to vote for him. But that should have been afforded him. But Mitch McConnell is Mitch McConnell, and he does his own thing. He's got power, and he wields it, as would Chuck Schumer and anybody else in the situation on the other side. Even David Axelrod, right? Like the architect of a lot of what Obama did before and during his presidency, said, while he criticized the hypocrisy, said, yeah, if the shoe was on the other foot, of course they would do it. Yes, they would. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. It is still out there, it being the coronavirus. Yesterday, we surpassed 200,000. I was telling producer Phil as we were watching the tote board that CNN has, get ready to cross over. I was thinking to myself, do you think like balloons are going to fall on that person? I mean, that's like CNN is, it's just to watch them, the hair on fire. And we have all these TVs on in here, so you watch everything. It's funny because during the day, the TV I have set up, so Thursdays, when golf's on, I'll have golf. Monday night, we'll have Monday night on the one that I can look directly at, and we have 3 over on one side. But during the day, I'm like, oh, let's put on Kelly Clarkson. Is Judge Phil on? I'll watch. Judge Phil, we'll get a segment a day from crazy Judge, not Judge Phil, but Dr. Phil, off some of the lunacy on there. We will. We'll get a segment a day off that. I just can't watch the hair on fire stuff. I can't watch Fox, and I don't watch Fox. I don't watch CNN, and I don't watch MSNBC outside of them being on. And we don't hear any of them because obviously we're talking on the radio. But the hair on fire yesterday. Well, Chad, we lost 200,000. Yes, we did. We lost 200,000 people, and that is awful. That is, nobody's debating that. Nobody. The craziness that was made yesterday of Trump saying, well, virtually during the headlines were virtually nobody's affected. But when you listen to the whole thing, he was talking about the young. And when you go and look at the data from Johns Hopkins, CDC, World Health Organization, and anybody else who throws data out there. But I go to Johns Hopkins because I tend to trust them more because they don't flip-flop. When you go and look at the data and you look at the age brackets when they break it down, guess what? Mostly elderly, mostly people who are struggling with a couple comorbidities, diabetes, obesity, heart disease. But the young, you go look at the young, very, very few. And I mean, like, so much less than the flu. When you go look at the numbers compared to the flu, even during mild years. But yes, it sucks. Are we going to have another surge? That's what people are asking.
The U.S. has now surged past 200,000 deaths from the coronavirus, and there's new concern. The virus back on the rise in more than half the country. The White House warning at least 18 states are now in the so-called red zone. Virginia just saw its second deadliest week ever. In Wisconsin, more than 80% of all counties are now seeing dangerously high levels of spread.
Here's the way you need to look at that if you're worried. And I say, hospitalizations is one. What are the age group of people who are infected? Why does it matter? Because a 23-year-old who's in college, who's in really good health, even crappy health, but 23, they're not running a marathon, but they're, they go for a walk every now and then, maybe play some intramural sports. That person is going to be okay. They have a better chance of dying from a drug overdose, driving to and from college if they were allowed to do that, and alcohol poisoning and think of that, than they do from this. So the surge in numbers, when you look at it, you can go, okay, well, it's like anything else, right? Somebody who's super healthy and 23 gets something, you think, they're going to be okay. Somebody who's 65 with heart disease, obesity, and diabetes, that's the person you don't want to get it. So what are the numbers there? And look at the hospitalizations. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Lots of stuff to get to today. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I want to talk about Bloomberg. We're going to talk about him, and not just Bloomberg, but LeBron James and what they're doing in Florida. I have a question for you as to would they do this if? Would they do this if? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Let's talk about my friends over at Purple Mattress. I was just talking to both producer Phil and I had a very, very short evening of sleep last night. And for me right now, pulling double, triple time. One of our producers is not feeling great, and he's got his issues, so love him to death, but he's got some time off. So I'm getting up extra early now, probably getting only 4 hours of sleep. And the beauty of that is, if it wasn't for my Purple Mattress and my pillow, I'd be struggling. Purple Mattress is great. You've heard about it. The open air channels, the grid that they call it, is amazing. Never sleep too hot, never sleep too cold. Firm where you need it, soft where you want it. They got a pillow that just is great support, but on top of that, it's the other side of the pillow, right? Cool on the other side of the pillow. That's what this pillow is like. They've got proprietary technology that is amazing. For me, it's how good was my sleep, not how long I was in bed. If I'm in bed for 8 hours and my sleep is awful, that sucks. If I'm in bed for 5 hours and my sleep is great, I'll take that every day of the week. Purple delivers that to me over and over again. Right now, financing available, 0% APR for qualified customers, risk-free trial, free shipping, free returns. Go to purple.com/Benson10. Why? Because you're going to save 10% on any order $200 or more. Purple.com/Benson10. Promo code Benson10. 10% off any order $200 or more. Purple.com/Benson10. Terms apply. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
Brett Hankeson committed the offense of wanton endangerment in the first degree when, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life, he wantonly shot a gun, into the apartment occupied by initials CE.
Question. What are cops supposed to do? We talk about the Breonna Taylor case. I think what people are going to be looking at is what happens later on tonight and going forward in the next couple days. Is there going to be situations where you see riots, I think, throughout the evening? And it'll be, I expect it over the next couple days that there is a chance that you're going to see issues that arise from this. But the question about the police officers is, what should they have done? Well, Chad, it should never have been a no-knock warrant, because that's what the big thing is. This is a no-knock warrant. This is a no-knock warrant. This is what it was. Daniel Cameron, AG, Kentucky.
The warrant was not served as a no-knock warrant.
They did knock. So you have a woman who dated a very bad dude allegedly before this, drug dealer, who they also arrested that night on another raid. But he had used her house and her car at other times. She obviously knew that he probably wasn't above board, seemed to be wanting to get on with her life and move away from that. Her new boyfriend was inside. They heard the noise. They heard the pounding. She thought it was her ex. Her boyfriend at the time, who was licensed to carry a gun, took a gun out and fired. The police returned fire, killing Breonna Taylor. The question is this going to explode into something? Daniel Cameron, Attorney General, Kentucky.
If we simply act on emotion or outrage, there is no justice. Mob justice is not justice.
It's not. But people are pissed. People are angry. People want to figure out, okay, how did this happen? This has got to be a lie. This is totally a lie. There's no way that they went there and did what they thought was right because they didn't get the warrant. Hey, you're here to serve a warrant. You're here to do this. This is what goes on. Somebody goes and gets the warrant. They show up. The police officers, they do the thing that they think is right. They're being fired upon. They fire back.
They clearly believed that it didn't rise to the level of being criminal because they had that legal document, that warrant.
Dan Abrams right there, formerly of Awesome Life PD. It's been taken off now. People out there, why'd you have to take off Live PD? Well, that's why they were there. You get fired upon. I don't know what people expect officers to do. We don't want them to do anything. We want them there to take it. People are wandering around the streets today and across the country that they want some sort of justice. Her family got $12 million. I doubt for a second that any one of these officers woke up in the morning and said, you know, it's a great idea. This Breonna Taylor character, we need to get her. I do not believe that for an instant. I think what we had is a perfect storm that ended up in a tragedy. Everybody wants to abolish the police. Everybody wants to get rid of the police. I just sit here and I think I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Rather than trying to take something and figure out how we make it better, how we figure out how we make it work within not only the communities, but the states across the country. How do we do these things better? We just want to, hey, we're pissed, we're angry, and this is what happened. It's a tragedy. Absolutely. But a crime? The grand jury didn't think so. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
At Memorial, we saw the pictures, the knickknacks, the messages, the letters, the flowers that had strewn this plaza behind me have been taken away for now. Some of those given to the late Justice's family, others collected for a museum. Those are gone, but the outpouring of profound grief for somebody who has touched so many American lives is simply remarkable.
Yeah, producer Phil and I were talking off the air, just seeing the hearse pull up at the Supreme Court, watching all of the people in the Capitol gather around and come out, and her coffin draped in a flag, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and just seeing the quietness, the stillness of people. They're 6 feet apart, and it's a very real thing. This is a woman who deserves the celebration. You don't have to like her politics. I saw people saying, well, she's a baby killer. It's like, shut up. You don't have to like the politics. You don't have to like the way she interpreted the Constitution and the law. But you can respect the things that she did. And all too often anymore, we stop respecting each other and stop seeing each other as human beings. And then we become a-holes to each other. And that's all we see each other as. We see each other as a person on Twitter. We see each other as, 100-some characters and a meme. We forget there's another person on the other side. You allow yourself to get trolled. You get emotional about stuff. You get sucked in, and away you go. You could celebrate the life and the accomplishments, and there is nothing wrong with that. And we should. We should. Beauty of our country is we are so different. And people like Ruth Bader Ginsburg can fight through enormous challenges and blaze a path. And we should celebrate that.
There will be a short private ceremony at which Chief Justice John Roberts will deliver remarks. He's called Ginsburg a jurist of historic stature, someone who was tireless and resolute as a champion of justice. She will be placed atop the same platform that held the body of Abraham Lincoln in 1865 and countless other American icons in this town.
I think she deserves respect, and I think they're going to give it to her. And life goes on, and she knows that. She knows that. And she knows that she was going to be replaced. I think she probably wishes she was replaced 10 years ago. She had the opportunity. She didn't do it. She held on for as long as she can. And now, well, now we're in the middle of an election. Trump right now and the Democrats are frustrated. Yesterday, seeing what was going on with Mitt Romney, Gardner, and a few others who they thought they had a chance to get, now realizing there is virtually nothing they can do. Nothing. The frustration level is through. That's why you see the emotion. It's one of those things where they're thinking, what can we do? How can we? You can't. And it's frustrating. What you have to do now is figure out what you're going to do outside of that, because you realize how important the Senate is, as well as the presidency, especially in a situation like this. Does it motivate?
If anything is uniting the party, they had one big thing uniting the Democratic Party, which was Donald Trump. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away and Republicans forcing through a pick is something else that's going to unite every part of the party. And so they actually have, if Biden handles this well, have a very easy path for motivating voters right now.
Yeah, but that's a big if, because as we all know, even quietly, President Obama has said, if anybody can blank this up, it's Joe. And he'll have his chance next week to really put himself in a position where two things are going to happen. Joe craps the bed, if you will. He just goes out, he's and it's a giant. He's a deer in a headlight. He mumbles. He wanders off script. He gets essentially hit in the jaw, as they would say. And he's stunned and he just never recovers, or he handles himself well. And the average voter will see for real what that looks like. Not listen to the media. Not listen to what they're trying to tell. Like, Joe could come out and he could fall over, right? Forget where he is, walk into a wall. And the media would be like, he killed it. So don't listen. Use your eyes. Use your eyes. Use your common sense. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. So I find this to be, I'm going to say this, I find this to be very odd. And I want you guys to, look, I am all about second chances. I think too often we have over-sentenced people. We turned the prison system into a place that, the thought process is we're going to house all these really bad people that in some cases, some people just made poor decisions. And then they get out and they've got nowhere to go and they struggle, and we need to give people a second chance. And we know the difference between somebody who sold some weed on the side and who's done a few things, but they're not violent criminals. To me, I want crime to be punished in the way that it should be. Violent, bad, nasty people, they need to go away for a long, long time. We can all agree on that. The over-sentencing, especially in the drug wars, has been ridiculous. And I don't think it was done with malicious intent. I think they were trying to say, well, we got to figure out every single way we can fight crime. But like everything else, there's a ton of collateral damage that tended to be far worse than anything else. So right now, in Florida, felons can vote if if they complete their sentence and they pay back any outstanding fines, fees, or restitution. So let's say you got sued, you owe 10 grand over here because of something you did, and they sued you or you settled the court and you still owe them X amount of dollars, and you owe the court $1,500. You can't vote unless you pay all that back. I'm just throwing out numbers. Michael Bloomberg has spent $16.1 million for the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. They've now paid off 32,000 felons in Florida just before Election Day. That's their goal, is to get as many as possible. Voters who were already registered to vote, Black or Latino, and had fines and fees of less than $1,500 were eligible for the payback initiative. Right? So you're eligible for that. LeBron James apparently is working with a group where they're sending out texts because he wants to pay off. Answer me this question. First of all, I feel like you're buying votes because you're working for Biden. Am I correct in that? Producer Phil, he said he's going to spend $100 million in Florida. Bloomberg did to help him get elected. I feel like you're buying votes. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Would you be doing the same thing if it was people that you knew were probably going to vote for Trump? I think that's a fair question to ask. It feels like you're purchasing votes. In a hotly contested state where 10, 15, 20,000 in one county may swing something, if not less, I think it's a fair question to ask. And I'm all about restoration. I'm all about people voting. I'm all about second chances. You listen to the show, you know that. But this, to me, just feels like you're trying to purchase some votes. You're using your money, and you're saying to yourself, I'm going to use this money. We're going to get all these people to vote. And in doing so, So out of the 32 plus thousand, how many of those do you think will be voting for Biden? I'm just curious. Again, throwing it out there. I don't want people to be disenfranchised at all. I think people should have a right to vote, but I also think you have to pay your due when it comes to society. And I think we have overcharged and in many cases put people in horrific situations that they should never have been in when it comes to, and look, I'm a choices. You make choices in life. But I also think sometimes those choices, like for me, my mom was always really hard on me compared to my other friends. Like we get in trouble, my friend would be like, I was on restriction for the weekend. How long are you on restriction? I'm like, a year. We did the same thing. Like that's the kind of stuff where we look around and we say, But I look at this, though. This is directly about voting. And I just feel like you're purchasing votes. And I think it's a fair question to ask. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from you. See, that's one way to get people to vote. This is another.
Kumar wants you to vote. That's the aim of actor and former White House staffer Kal Penn's new show on Freeform and Hulu.
If you took The Daily Show and mixed it with CBS Sunday Morning, it's not a reaction to the 24-hour news cycle, but it is a funny, uplifting take on 6 of the issues that people are probably thinking about leading up to the election.
He tells me those issues include climate change and healthcare, among others. The show Kal Penn Approves This Message premieres today on Hulu, with new episodes every Tuesday on Freeform.
He's getting people to vote. And they're all mostly going to be Democrats. But I don't feel like he's purchasing. I feel like Bloomberg and LeBron are making an effort. Now, if you wear a MAGA hat in there and say you do this, what kind of look are you going to get? Just a question. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. HelloFresh. Love HelloFresh. HelloFresh.com. Promo code's Benson. Use that. You're going to save $80 off your first box. as well as free shipping, and you're going to want to do it. Right now, I'm eating low calorie. Somebody tweeted at me the other day, direct message me, say, that low calorie, does it taste good? I said, I had like a little barbecued chicken, little sandwich thing the other day. It was delicious. It was like amazing. I'm like, how is this low calorie? Food is amazing. It's inexpensive. I'm saving about 50% compared to shopping at the grocery store. On average, they say you save 40%. There's no waste either, which I love. We're not throwing food away. Even when Jack was here and we had to add extra meals, we were on the family plan. We didn't throw extra food away because, well, first of all, Jack's like a Hoover. Secondly, my son, he was only 10 years old, is growing, but it was just the right amount of food. Low calorie, vegetarian, family-friendly options, amazing food, absolutely fresh. And the 22 chef curated recipes makes it easy. You choose the meal you want to do. You assemble it. You cook it. It takes about 20 minutes and away you go. Get yours today. They're flexible. Maybe you need to add extra meals one week. Maybe you're on vacation. You need to pause it for a week. They work with you. Go to HelloFresh.com. That promo code is Benson. $80 off your first box and free shipping. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. HelloFresh.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
I'm asking the question. Check it out. Go to Chad Benson Show TV on the old YouTube, Twitter. The video, Bloomberg and LeBron are paying off fines for felons in Florida so they can regain their rights to vote. So if you have fines to the courts or unpaid restitution, even though you may have served your debt to society, you can regain your voting status once you pay off all of those. And I said it just feels like it. Somebody tweeted it. I see it as very wealthy individuals making it easier for poor folks to have a second chance. At most, 50% of those people will vote. At least most people's expectations. And I've got zero problems with helping. But I was telling producer Phil, if Trump went into some poor community, right, like some rural community and said, hey, I'm going to pay off all your farm debt or your, people would lose their crap. They would. They would just lose it. And you'd have every right to lose it. I'd lose it. It's the same thing. If you go and Biden went and did something like that, his foundation, you'd lose your stuff. And you have your surrogates do it. This is the world of politics we live in. Like I said, politics is full. Trump talked about the swamp. You know what it is? It's a snake pit. All of them have venom. Some are more aggressive and angry, but all of them have some sort of venom. Trump, right now, he's a king cobra. Why do they call it a king cobra? Same reason they call it a king snake. Because they eat other snakes. It's one of the tough things that I have friends here who keep cobras. And they say, it takes a while when you get them. Teach them that, they can eat other things, if you will. Because their taste is for snakes. And that's what Trump is right now. Won't be forever. Somebody else will move in, take that spot. But it shows you, though, that this entire place in politics is just a nest of vipers and cobras and mambas and everything else. And that they all have agendas, and winning is of utmost importance. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Love hearing from you. Maybe.
Rolling Stone first put out its list of the top 500 albums of all time in 2003, with the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band at number 1. The list was refreshed in 2012, and now they've done it again, with industry experts from Beyonce to Stevie Nicks weighing in. And there's a new number 1.
There's far too many of you die.
Marvin Gaye's 1971 protest album, What's Going On, takes the top spot, Rolling Stone calling it one of the most important and influential albums ever made. In second,
Would
1966's Pet Sounds from the Beach Boys, Joni Mitchell's 1971 epic Blue in third.
Pet Sounds is arguably the greatest album of all time. They just put Marvin Gaye at number one because while it's a great album, they're just afraid that Marvin's going to sue. Kind of his thing. If you've played an instrument and then you sang on an album, it's a good chance Marvin Gaye's family's coming for you. Did you just use English on an album? We're coming for you. Even if you credited him and paid his family, they're coming. Just letting you guys know. Pet Sounds, for those of you guys who don't know, the best album. Marvin Gaye, I love Marvin Gaye. I do. Marvin Gaye he's just don't sue me. But Pet Sounds, the whole thought process of that was just amazing. And you know, what he went through, the crazy man, to put that album together for the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson was nuts. And he wanted to have basically 12 A-sides, 12 singles, 14 singles, whatever it was. And I listened to Paul McCartney. He's like, it's the greatest album ever. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. You can't go wrong with any of those albums, by the way. You know who's not on there and it's a bummer? Hanson. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron says the officers did knock before entering Breonna Taylor's apartment in March.
The officers' statements about their announcement are corroborated by an independent witness.
He says Taylor was struck by 6 bullets fired by Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly and Detective Miles Cosgrove, who were fired upon by Taylor's boyfriend upon entry.
Our investigation found that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in their use of force.
Officer Brett Hankison faces 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment. The Attorney General says none of his bullets struck Taylor when he fired into her apartment.
Yeah, he fired. They went into the next-door neighbors. And in doing so, that's what he's charged with, 3 counts. But the death of Breonna, there was nothing. Now, she got $12 million. Let's understand that. While it was a no-knock warrant, they knocked. Her boyfriend fired because she thought it was her ex-boyfriend, who, let's look at him, was also arrested that night in another raid, who allegedly has, how should we say this, is an independent pharmaceutical dealer. She wanted to clean her life up. She wanted to get away from this. But that guy, not even in her life. And look, I don't want to hear that maybe he was in and out. Yes, you know what? She made some decisions along the way that put her in a situation that wasn't good. She made decisions along the way with a guy that did things that she obviously knew about that put her in this situation. In saying that, this was a perfect storm of tragedy. That's the thing we need to understand. It's a perfect storm of tragedy. I do not for a second, an instant think they woke up that day and said, she's the one we got to get. She's the one we have to get. There was a warrant. They got it. How they obtained it, that's the question people are asking. But the officers are there to serve it. They're there to serve it.
Whether that warrant should have been issued at all is a very important question. But that's a separate one from the officers who are now at the house with a legal warrant.
Yeah. Meaning somebody goes and gets a warrant, right? So I'm explaining this, guys, the best possible. Somebody goes and gets a warrant and said, hey, we believe that there are drugs and this gentleman in the house, this is his girlfriend. This is one of the places he's used before. And we believe that there is potentially drugs and proceed with the caution and go from there. I'm just getting that, and okay, so this is what I know. How you got that information as you decide whether or not you're going to get the warrant and how you go about doing and presenting that evidence to get the warrant, that is, you guys did that. I'm just fulfilling, essentially, the list that you've given me to do, and I go and do that, and then I come into the place after knocking, even though it's no knock. Somebody fires at me, and then we fire back, tragically hitting her and killing her. Nobody wanted that. People are pissed. People are angry. What's going to happen in the community? That's a big thing, because we've seen across the country things that have taken place after incidents between police and people of color, the African-American community in particular.
There is outrage here right now. When they heard the decision, there was screaming. There was, oh, my God, what is this? So the people here are very shocked at what they heard. They're obviously here in support of Breonna Taylor and her family, and this is not what they wanted to hear today.
But would you want to hear the truth that the system worked, even though you may not like the system and you think the system is rigged? But that the system itself was set up in such a way. Well, Chad, the system didn't work. It failed. And that's what you're going to hear. It failed. We're not talking about how somebody got the warrant. We're talking about the incident at that moment in time, what the police officers were sent there to do. We got to keep it on that. And I think too often we're getting sidetracked because we want to find out the whole thing. That stuff needs to be looked into. Should there have even been a warrant? Any of those questions are very valid to answer, but we're talking about that night. And people want justice as if, well, you know what? You guys did your job. You got fired upon. And as a police officer being fired upon, naturally, you would expect that they would fire back. In doing so, they killed her. It wasn't like it was broad daylight. They walked in, they knew everybody's name, and then they took out a gun and shot her. That didn't happen. That's the way it'll be perceived by some. And this is going to piss a lot of people off. And they want justice, even if it means they go to jail, even though they didn't do anything legally wrong. And this is going to piss a lot of people off. Welcome to the world that we live in now. Name something now that doesn't piss people off. Let's remember, the family's already got $12 million. Something else that we need to think about is, what can you prove? Dan Abrams talks about it here as far as an indictment.
When the police have the legal right to have been there, even if it was a bad warrant, but if they have the legal right to be there, they're then fired upon. It is tough sometimes to get an indictment.
You think? You think it's tough to get an indictment? So let's do this. Let's put just the average Joe in a situation. So average Joe in a situation, somebody comes into their house, right? And you're fired upon and you fire back. You don't know what's going on. And do you think that average Joe is going to get in trouble for that? Probably not. Like, if it's you, if you are the police officer, if you are serving the warrant, if you're doing your job, somebody fires upon you, what did you expect the police to do? And it pisses people off. Well, they shouldn't have done anything. They should use non-lethal force. It is a split second. And by split second, we're not talking about 1,002. Done. They make those decisions. We want perfection. We want to be able to see into the future, and we can't do that. We can't. People are pissed and they're angry, but you've got to look at everything. And the question now is going to be, what goes on from here? What happens from here? This is Daniel Cameron, AG, talking about the two officers whose shots did kill Breonna Taylor.
Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in their use of force after having been fired upon by Kenneth Walker.
It's not going to make people happy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Please, we're asking the question. I found this just to be a very bizarre situation. And LeBron James and Bloomberg are paying off debts in Florida for felons so they can get their right to vote. To me, I look at this and I feel like you're buying a vote. And if it was Trump and one of his, cronies that was doing something like this, people will be losing their mind, and you had every right to lose your mind. I'm all about second chances. I'm all about voting. And I do believe that we have overcharged, and the war on drugs, the collateral damage from that is tremendous. In saying that, I also think you're buying votes. I also believe that. So if the most fervent Trump supporter, right, like Rudy Giuliani, had a pack and decided they were going to go into certain areas and that they were going to do certain things, and that was going to benefit people, and people most likely to vote for Donald Trump, people would lose their mind, and you have every right to be that way. All for second chances. I believe we overcharge. I believe we over-sentence, and it disproportionately hurts people of color. And that's one of those systemic things that you can look at and go, this is wrong. And we need to fix this. And the war on drugs has failed. But this just feels like I'm purchasing something. What do you think of those apples? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. Text the program as well. Coronavirus still here. Vaccine, not here. Doesn't look like it's coming before the election. I didn't think it would. I think we'll have an announcement that they will be closer, and that by the first of the year or even by the end of this year that the vaccine will be ready. People are worried about the safety of this, and the FDA is coming down with safer guidelines.
The vaccine can have side effects up to 40 days after the dose. So we'll be monitoring people for 40 days after the second dose. So it may be some time before we see this ready for prime time.
Yeah. But I think we will get it. I think everybody needs to relax. We're going to get this. We're probably going to get 2 or 3 in the next 90 days. To 120 days that they'll announce, and some of them will be available, and they'll be available for people who are struggling on the front line, facing it every day, and should be taking this and should be the first in line. People are susceptible, the elderly, those people get it first. The rest of us will be all right. We're going to have to wait. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Rough Greens, my dog went home last night. Doodle. I found what Rough Greens can't do. Rough Greens can't. He's deaf, so that doesn't fix that. But it's good because then when I get home, he starts to freak out and he runs around. Like 6 months ago, when I get home, he'd just sit there, and it wasn't until I go over and started to pet him now he jumps off the couch, runs around, starts jumping up and down, barking at me, and I love it. I'll be honest with you. I absolutely love it. Rough Greens is great. It's not dog food, okay? So people think it was a dog. It is not dog food. What Rough Greens is, it's a supplement. It's a sprinkled powder right on top of the food, and boom, 25 all-natural vitamins, minerals, digestive enzymes, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, antioxidants. It's got it all. Brings your dog's food to life, helps with their gut health, and the thing that's amazing is he had arthritis and fatty tumors. He barely could walk at times. Now he runs around. He plays with the puppies, which is just amazing. Best thing you'll ever do for your puppy. Best thing you'll ever do for your dog. I say give it a try. If you want to be a believer, put it to the test. It's a 14-day jumpstart. You will see the difference. It's $14.95. That's it. You will love it. Roughgreens.com/Chad. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Or call 833-MY-DOG-88. 833-MY-DOG-88. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? I just love that. That my pronouns are they, them, he, she, I am, woman. Hear me roar. Here's a, if somebody ever said, I'd be like, what's your name? I don't care what your pronouns. What do you want me to call you? Like, is your name Karen? I'll call you Karen. If your name's Steve, I'll call you Steve. You get one of these. I'm not calling you something else tomorrow. So just, let's go with that. You're so mean, Chad. Full of hate. Oh, my God. How did we get here? Very simple. We get the world that we deserve and the politicians that we deserve. Trending right now, Breonna Taylor, Louisville on edge. You know what it is? It's the night, right? Like people are waiting for the night. And by that, I don't mean like when it starts to get dark, you see what happens in Portland, Seattle, something changes. People are there protesting for whatever reason. Doesn't matter what you're protesting for. People are waiting because once it gets dark, that's when things start to get a little crazy. That's when that happens. Michael Jordan, he's going to own a NASCAR. Bubba Wallace is going to drive for him. It's kind of cool. Cindy McCain, trending on both Twitter and Google, because she is endorsing, not a shock, she is endorsing Biden. Oh. Apparently, Ilhan Omar is trending because Trump said something, I'm sure, that was probably horrible. She said, you run our country like an 8-year-old. He said something racist. And you know what? Like at this point, it's just a joke. It's like, this is it. Like, we're having a pissing match between people. It's like, settle down. Just get over yourself. Palmetto cheese is gone from Costco. If you liked it, apparently the CEO and owner compared Black Lives Matter to a terrorist organization. And, yes, Amy Coney Barrett. She's trending. People are trying to figure out what she's going to do, what kind of chastity belt she's going to put on women, how she's going to make them cook and clean, and all of those things. So I don't really think she's not going to, but that's just, she'll do the bidding of Trump. She's a handmaiden. I'm like, Trump couldn't even get a win from his 2 picks. They voted against him on a few occasions. Oh my goodness. I just think people think that that's all, that like that they have none of these people have any other thought at all outside of, I will do your bidding. But look, I get it. It's very interesting. It's the freak out. I just don't get the freak out. I never have. Maybe that's just, I'm a weird character. Maybe that's why I like horror movies. I don't know. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Producer Phil and I are having too much fun off the air. Don't you guys know that? What do you think, people? Is Bloomberg buying votes? I told producer Phil. So if you guys haven't heard, Bloomberg he's already said he's going to spend $100 million in Florida to do anything he can to help Biden get elected. And he has got an organization he's working with. LeBron James is working with one as well. And their whole goal is to make sure that felons have their rights to vote restored. But for many of them, they owe restitution to the court or maybe to somebody else, and they have to pay that off before they get the right to vote back. And they've paid off some 32,000 individuals' fines and fees, which I've got zero problems with, except for the fact that I just feel like you're buying a vote. I think it's a great thing. If you'd have done it 2 years ago, I'm like, that's an awesome thing. We should all figure out a way to help more, because I do think people need second chances. But it feels like it. So could you imagine Dave Trump goes like, I'm going to go down to Skid Row in L.A., make sure these people have a home, fresh meal. I just want to give them a second chance. Make sure they're registered. People are like, oh, my God, he's such a jerk. Oh, goodness me. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. These are her words.
The president is elected for 4 years, not 3 years, so the power that he has in year 3 continues into year 4, and maybe some members of the Senate will wake up and appreciate that that's how it should be.
And we don't, because politics gets in the way of all the things that we want to do. And that's everything. Like, even something good, right? You come up with the greatest thing in the world. Let's say you figure out a way to make an engine run on, thoughts and fluffy, fluffy clouds and rainbows and unicorns. The government will figure out a way to get involved and screw it up. Like they will. Hey, how can we be a part of this and make this worse? Why? Because of politics. Because these people over here give money to me, and you've not paid your freight. You want to know when marijuana is going to really have the shot of being super legal? When they finally get to the point where they have the biggest lobbyist in D.C. When they get to that point where their lobby group is so massive that they give so much, and that one or two people who are running for office or, trying to win re-election finally get to the point where they can have a dinner in public with one or two of these people. You support the marijuana lobby. When it gets to that point, because even though they got some money to throw around, they're not quite there yet. They got to push their way in. Because a lot of old money, right? You're dealing with the tobacco people, and you're dealing with the oil and gas, and you got the arms people over here, and you got the Wall Street people, and you got the... But once they get themselves situated, you watch what happens. Because politics and money and politics, they go together. We don't want to admit it, but they do. They absolutely go together. It's one of the reasons that people talk about how bad capitalism is. Not normal people, but other people. People are like, normal people are like, capitalism is awesome. It's great. But the free, we talk about free market. The free market is controlled way too much by politicians, because you have to go where? To D.C. Why? Because the people in D.C. and your state capital, they want what you have to give, which is your support and your cash. And you want what they have, which is a little bit of power. And that's the frustration so many people see. Even now, the fight over Ruth Bader Ginsburg and who's going to replace her. How's this going to work? What's the next step? Because they feel like we're losing power. We're losing this. We're losing that. There's so many things that go into this, but it's the battle of power. And it gets frustrating. Because at the end of the day, the people that should have the power are the people. And we never remind them as much as we should that at the end of the day, they work for us. At the end of the day, we should remind them, hey, you know what? We do have the power to switch. But unfortunately, messages are hijacked and people feel they're stuck with the same old same. People of color, poor people, they tend to vote one certain direction, so they placate them. Right? So the Democrats are out there placating them, rarely changing anything, ever. Always promising and never deliver. Always promising and never delivering. And then the other side, you've got what? You've got the Republicans who placate the wealthy, the white middle class, the religious right, all of the, and they never deliver. Both sides fail. And then at the top of that food chain, above everybody else, is all of the donors and the corporations and everything else. And guess what? Their money spends well, whether it's a D or an R by the name. Many cases, they give as much as they possibly can because they don't care as long as they're fine. I've always said, I'll continue to do so. Let's make all of these politicians like NASCARs, like soccer uniforms in Europe. Everybody who's sponsoring them, every lobbyist who works with them, every group they're pulling for, you have to wear a decal. Little iron-on patch. You're like, wow, look at that. Look at that. That's Exxon. That's Chevron. She's got Planned Parenthood on and some sort of, some sort of other group with like some sort of green group. Oh, look over there. He's got both oil and gas in the green group. Oh, look. Oh, these people, everybody over here is Wall Street. Goldman Sachs is on everybody's. Have to answer, wouldn't you? Why are you voting this way? Are you voting your conscience? Are you voting it's the right thing to do? Or are you voting because people who threw you a $1,000 dinner and help you get reelected are expecting something? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Shall we laugh? Here's a great sports story that'll warm your heart.
Prosecutors here in Italy say a language test for citizenship for Uruguayan soccer star Luis Suarez was rigged and are investigating 5 university employees. Suarez now plays for Barcelona. The only way for the Italian Juventus team to get around quota rules on foreign players was for him to become an Italian citizen and pass the language exam. But a tutor preparing Suarez for the exam was caught on tape telling a colleague he can't speak a word of Italian.
Isn't it crazy they have to have a language exam? Racist. That's so funny. He didn't speak a word of Italian. It's like college. But see how fast they hand out? God, we really want this guy to play with us, so we better figure out how to make him a citizen. How do we do that? I don't know. We'll just give him a citizen test. He can't speak any Spanish. He can't speak any English. He can't speak French. He can't speak whatever it is. That doesn't matter. We'll get around it. And then they get caught. That is so Italy. Italy every year in soccer in Italy, there is one or two big, hey, the referee did this or so-and-so cheated over here. Every year. And if you're not familiar with Luis Suarez, while he's an immensely great talent, he's also really well known for being the biter. He's bit several opponents, and it's a very bizarre situation. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. We've got an election coming up fast. The battle is real. There are states in play, Florida being one of them, Arizona being another one. And Arizona, dead red for a very long time. Got a little tight, but we've seen the changing of red to blue. Right now it's purple. I said 2 years ago here, I got into an argument when we were having the night of, the blue wave that was more trickle. I said, we're going to become a state that's blue. I said, you've got a younger demographic. You've got people moving here. The changing demographic, which is you got a younger Latino demographic, or Latinx, which tends to be a little bit more to the left. You have a bunch of people moving here to go to school at the University of Arizona and ASU. What does that mean? They're not leaving. They get here and they're like, I don't want to move to Ohio because in February it's cold. Here it's nice. There's opportunity here. And they're not leaving, and they tend to be to the left. And then you have your next door neighbor, California, where people are fleeing and have been for a long time, which they hate all the things that are going on politically in California that's caused it, that makes them want to leave. But with them, they bring their politics. So you see stuff that's changing here, and it's in play. You got Cindy McCain coming out and endorsing Joe Biden.
Cindy McCain, the widow of the late Senator John McCain, announcing her endorsement of Joe Biden, saying on ABC's Good Morning America she felt it was time to take a stand.
Like everyone else, want to have a president that will have my back, that shows empathy and compassion, who has courage and dignity in how they lead, and that's Joe Biden.
President Trump responding on Twitter, writing, quote, Joe Biden was John McCain's lapdog. The president adding, quote, never a fan of John. Cindy can have Sleepy Joe.
Just, it's the battle that is, but it's a real battle. And Trump is, take away what's going to happen in the court, because I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. I think the reality is that's the frustration you see in so many ways. People are looking at the Democrats like, why can't you stop? Because they're probably not going to be able to stop it. But what happens if Trump wins again? That's why you make sure that you have the Senate, because he's going to be impeached again. If he wins, he will be impeached. That is going to happen. If he wins, that is going, I'm telling you guys right now, that is going to happen. So having the Senate will be vitally important. And here's a Senate seat that is absolutely up for grabs, or at least was. The reality is Mark Kelly, who says very little, is probably going to win John McCain's seat, which is currently being filled by Martha McSally, who will have lost the other seat to Kirsten Sinema and now this seat, and he can be sworn in immediately because he passed away while in office. So the minute it's over, the vote, he can essentially be sworn in, and he's already asked for that if he wins. And this is going to be a state that's turning blue, and Trump better figure it out. He's been out here a dozen times, and he better come out here more. Biden's not been here once. I think he knows, I've got this state. Florida's the same thing. That battle's going on. That's a real battle. That's a very real battle. I think Trump has a little bit of an advantage, but these are things that he needs to be aware of. It's not just can he win the presidency, because as all presidents know, you don't have the Senate, the House, but you have the presidency. It's a long 4 years. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, masterclass. Last night, I was just puttering around on it. I said, well, what's this? Oh, what's that? Oh, this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. There's so many things. Like, you get sucked into stuff that you didn't think, well, I didn't know if I'd enjoy that. Right? But you do. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, I got sucked into some of the stuff that he's doing, and they teach you everything. But Gary Kasparov teaches you about chess, and he does it in such a way where you're like, wow. That is so awesome. It is incredible. You can learn the greatest and the great. He teaches the fundamentals, the attacks, the skewers. I'm learning about skewers. Join Masterclass. It's inexpensive. You're going to save 15%, but you get 85 of the world's best. They're going to teach you everything from business and sports to science, and they do it in lessons. 20 lessons per class, 10-minute sessions. That's all it is. You get downloadable workbooks, exercises inside of their materials to help you. And for some people, you're looking at this and you're going to take something that you dream of and maybe go, you know what, I can turn this into something. I can grow. I can learn from this and go on and take it from a hobby to a career. Join now. Save 15% just for being a Chad Show listener. Go to masterclass.com/Benson. You're going to get unlimited access and 15% off for an annual membership. Masterclass.com/Benson. Masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
Commissioner Rob Manfred telling USA Today Sports that MLB is pressing ahead to have fans in Texas and plans to announce ticket sales soon. The National League Championship Series and World Series are set to be held at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. The commissioner saying one of the most important things to our game is the presence of fans, though he does not specify how many fans would be allowed inside the 40,000-seat stadium and what kind of safety precautions would be in place. Baseball has not allowed fans during the 2020 regular season.
Yeah, so that's going to happen. More and more football is opening up to fans. And wear a mask, be safe, be cautious. I was talking to my uncle yesterday. We've seen some of the lines at Disneyland, Disney World, because Disneyland's not open, because Gavin Newsom's decided that he's going to keep everything shut forever. I said, how long do you think it's going to go on for, Paul? He says, till he cures death. That's okay. He says, so, yeah, like, you have to stand, if you've ever been to Disneyland or any amusement park, you know, it zigzags. So you have to stand 6 feet away from somebody, but then you're shoulder to shoulder with somebody. So, well, it's different. Just let there be fans. That's just it. It's baseball, first of all. So I don't know how many fans you're going to get during football season, especially. But I think we're at the point now, and looks like they're hosting it in a bubble. That'll be kind of cool. So you're going to have the National League Championship Series and the World Series in the same place. So why not let there be fans? Let there be fans. Oh, do you think there'll be an asterisk by the team who wins it? So let's just say, I don't know who's a good team, like the Padres. The Dodgers obviously are great, but I'm not going to be a homer. The Dyers! But let's just say they win it. Do you think there'll be an asterisk by their name because it was a shortened season? I don't think so. But I've watched 0 baseball games this year. I watch a few. Normally I'd watch the playoffs. I'll watch some of the opening day stuff. But I watched 0. I watched none of the hockey. I know Dallas takes on Tampa Bay, and I don't even know what the score is in the series because it's Stanley Cup. Watched no basketball. I have watched football and soccer and lots of golf. Lots of golf. I love golf. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I know how maddening this must be to people out there who are saying, what about Breonna? What about her? Why doesn't she get justice here? And sometimes the legal system, doesn't work in that kind of linear way.
No, because what you had is a person who was killed. The police officers didn't mean to do it. They were doing the job, and somebody had fired upon her boyfriend. They fired back. The question going forward is, what happens from here? People are upset. People are angry. Is it going to get to a point where you're going to see, mobs, fires, riots, looting? Can people understand what's taking place? What took place? Is that something that people can get? understanding you're not bringing her back. She got $12 million. The police officers, there is no indictment. Nothing is coming down because it's impossible. They were fired upon first doing the job that they were supposed to do. And the question will come out about whether or not that warrant was even legal.
They clearly believed that it didn't rise to the level of being criminal because they had that legal document, that warrant.
And that matters. And everybody's going to say, well, the no-knock warrant. They did knock.
The warrant was not served as a no-knock warrant.
Even though it was, they didn't serve it that way. They knocked on the door. They tried to do something different. Many people said, police officers I've talked to said if they would have just came through the door and not given them time, there may not have been this situation. Regardless of whether or not that's true, the reality is on the ground now, people are pissed and angry. People are taking to the streets across the country, not just in Louisville, and people feel like justice wasn't served. There's no winner here, and Breonna Taylor lost. We're having a discussion about race again in this country. And it's frustrating a lot of people because they feel like, hey, you know what? Once again, we got screwed. It sucks. You know, when you look at this, and look, you can say, hey, she ran around with a bad dude for a long time. She put herself, as some people say, knee deep in this. And in some ways, yeah, you know, but she was trying to get her life together. She was trying to put herself on a better path. Whether or not that warrant was obtained the right way and legal way, those officers were there to serve it because, hey, this is my job. I've been handed this. This is my job. I need to go do this. They didn't know who was behind there. It's a dangerous job. I'll tell you this right now. If one of them was killed, there'd be nobody in the streets marching. There'd be nobody caring. Abolishing the police, telling them they're awful and horrible, and that every one of them is a racist, and that if you support the police, you're a racist, isn't going to bring her back, and it's not going to make the situation any better. Daniel Cameron, who is the Attorney General, said it.
If we simply act on emotion or outrage, there is no justice. Mob justice is not justice.
And the question is, over the coming days and weeks, what does this look like? Because as we all know, across the country, the death of George Floyd, and then Breonna Taylor, and now this caused, well, widespread protest, and in many cases turned out to be much more than that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Tell me what you think. Love hearing from each and every one of you. I think we should do this. Here's a great idea. Let's veer away from some of this stuff. This is fun. You know what, Producer Phil? Let's do this. Maybe we should just have one regular person on the court. Just one cat. It could be you, me, anybody. Just one regular person. Doesn't know. Like, and somebody who's not like really caught up on stuff. So what do you think? I don't know. What do you think? It'd be fun. That would be great. Like, that'd be perfect. Just put just one regular cat on the court. And that person, it'll be awesome. They could just, because you'll get a perspective that maybe you looking at everything legally, maybe you get a perspective from a normal person of like, I don't know. That just sounds kind of like hokey to me, bro. Oh, I'm thinking no. That would be their dissent. I'm thinking no. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, as we come back to the real world. That he goes with, Amy Coney Barrett or Barbara Legal, who those are the two that are leader in the clubhouse, and it's going to be one of those two. So Saturday it happens. Then it's about scheduling interviews. You're going to sit down. You're going to have interviews one-on-one with the justice. Barbara Legal got through, I think, pretty. I think she got 80-some votes. So I don't think, and she's recent. So some Democrats voted for her. So it's not like, you're dealing with somebody where it was kind of partisan and, party lines when it came to Amy Coney Barrett, who he's kind of leaning to from what I hear. But with Barbara Legal, she got through kind of pretty unscathed. So you got to sit down, and the Judiciary Committee and everybody, they're going to have their thing where they sit down, whether it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and they're going to chat, and talk about stuff. And, hey, get to know you, but at the same time, how do you feel about this, that, and the other? Then they'll have the hearings. Then it'll be a floor vote. This can take a while. Or it could be sped up. Was John Paul Jones, was it 19 days, something like that? And I think, like with Barbara Legal, the benefit to her is she is conservative, but she's not somebody, I think, that terrifies some of the more moderate Democrats. And at the same time, she also just went through this. So it's not, a lot of their due diligence is done. But Amy Coney Barrett is the one that everybody's looking at, and that's the one who a lot of people think that Trump is really, really leaning into. She had her second meeting with him. He doesn't know a lot about Barbara Legal, but she is, she looks at it as kind of, she's an original. She looks down. She goes, this is how it was intended. This is how I interpret it.
If we are not bound by what the Constitution means, and it is ever changing, then we're no different than the country that my parents fled from, which is Cuba. Because Cuba has a Constitution and a Bill of Rights, and it means nothing because there is no one to hold it and to say this is what the definition of this Constitution means if it is always ever changing. The principles that were articulated in the Constitution at the time of ratification have a meaning. That meaning is constant. What changes is the application of the meaning to new things like new technologies, in the Fourth Amendment context, for example.
Yeah. So I think she'd be good. And very recent, less headache, potentially. So we'll see. Like, what do you say to a Democrat who voted for X amount of, months ago or whatever? What he said? No. In those few months, I figured out I hate you. I would love to see a normal person up there just being grilled. What do you think about this? I don't know. Asking questions back. Hey. So you guys is there free parking? So you guys validate? It was so awesome. If I get this gig, do I get a robe? Because I want a robe. If I'm not getting a robe, it's going to super suck. Do I have to wear like a suit underneath it? Is it shorts? Am I cool with that? That is so cool. You mean you only got to work a few months out of the year? Are you kidding me? This is a good gig. We need one or two regular people on the court. That should be the balance, right? We have 3 people to the left, 3 people to the right, and just 3 people. We're here. And they're dissent again. Nah. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. Raycon's best earbuds around. I absolutely love them. Go out, I play golf, listen to my books on tape, listen to music. I don't worry about them falling off and the wires flinging around and the stems. Nope, none of that. Stylish, comfortable. 6 hours of talk time and listen to time. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, better bass, sound design. It's like having a mini, like you put it in your ears and it's incredible. It's like your own sound booth and it's just awesome. And the price is right. Normally, Ray J, when he put this together, his whole thought process, I want to make it affordable and awesome. And they are exactly that. I was watching the golf yesterday because Tiger Woods has his whole new course. And a lot of them they were wearing earplugs and stuff because they were talking back and forth to each other because it was kind of a made-for-TV thing. And they had the little white stemmy things, and it looked uncomfortable. These are not. Get yours now and save big. An extra 15%. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Well under $100, and you're going to save big. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Hear that? It's time for Dodge Power Dollars on Dodge Charger and Challenger, where you get $10 off per horsepower. So you can enjoy the sweet sounds of Dodge Charger RT Scat Pack's 485 horsepower and get $4,850 off. Or take it up a notch with Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Red Eye 797 horsepower and get $7,970 off. So come in for Dodge Power Dollars and get a great deal. Offer not available on leases. See dealer for details.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The industry's in dire straits. At one point, passenger traffic was down 96%. It's now down 70% still.
Yeah, flying is, well, traveling itself is just crushed.
1/3 of our planes are parked, not flying. And we are losing $5 billion a month.
That's massive. Where are you going to go? Like, the deals would be great. I was looking at the cruise industry. It's just they're going to fill up a quarter to a half of the ships, and you have to, like, wait in your room till they do a corona test. I mean, some of the stuff that they're talking, it's just, why would you go? I mean, where are you going to go right now? Where you're going to be comfortable outside of, like, oh, I'm going to take a trip to the beach because I can go to the beach and some of that stuff. But then you're like, well, this state doesn't want you to come here and they're going to make you quarantine for 2 weeks, but I only got 5 days. Well, that sucks for you. It's frustrating. And I don't know when it's going to be, back to normal. People say, when do you think this will be over? I said, well, we're going to eventually, I think if, and it's a big if a vaccine doesn't really arrive by the first quarter of next year, I think all bets are off. I think at that time, people are going to go, screw it, we're going to get back to our lives. We're going to travel, we're going to live life. We can't afford to live like this anymore. People will be patient if they know one is coming and it's already in use, but it just hasn't got to them yet because of, we've only got so much to distribute and these people get it first. And then it's a different story. But I think by this time next year, we'll be back in the flow of things. But how much damage will be done? I still think it's going to take 3-4 years for us to climb back out of this. And I think we'll have a good run up. And then we're going to hit this. And then it'll be a slow kind of thing. The dimmer light. Now we got to go get a new light bulb. We got to put it in. And it's, it's the new kind. So it kind of warms up a little bit. Then the dimmer comes on and we can go. But it is going to take a while. But the longer we go with stuff in kind of this holding pattern, it's going to hurt more and more and more and more. And some of those things where you're thinking, okay, well, we see something on the horizon and there's the light and we're ready to roll. But when we come back, we're only going to come back at 60% capacity. So some of these people that are furloughed or whatever, they may not come back at all. And it's not just about whether or not we can, some of these businesses and things can recover. We're going to recover and it's going to be around, but it's not going to be around the way it was pre-coronavirus. Speaking of coming back.
Months ago, Disneyland Paris, Disney World, and other Disney parks reopened, but Disneyland and California Adventure here in California remain closed. Disney, the parent company of ABC News, is now putting pressure on California Governor Gavin Newsom, saying it's time to reopen. The tens of thousands of jobs are at risk of vanishing in Anaheim at the park and in surrounding areas if the parks can't reopen soon. Disney saying it has proven at its other parks that it has the plans in place to do it safely.
Yeah. Like, have you heard anything like, oh, Florida's got because of Disney, everything's destroyed, and I haven't heard any of that. California's the only place they haven't reopened stuff. And Disney is one of the biggest employers in California. The pressure they've been putting, them and Universal have been putting on Gavin Newsom is tremendous because he doesn't want to reopen because he wants to cure death. Apparently that's his goal. So they're going to reopen and 8 people will be allowed in. I was telling my uncle, because I used to have Disney passes, he does, and he's just like, and he lives for Disney. Well, he did up until the whole thing with the Uyghurs and China and Mulan and stuff. But he said, as much as I love it, man, I can't fathom walking around for 8 hours or 10 hours with a mask on. But there is a place where you can go mask free to take a mask break with other people who are taking a mask break. I said, that sounds like a solid thing. Oh, boy. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The president is elected for 4 years, not 3 years, so the power that he has in year 3 continues into year 4, and maybe some members of the Senate will wake up and appreciate that that's how it should be.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You started a fight, Ruth. Freaked people out on the left. Started a fight. It's crazy. It's chaos. Could have left earlier, Ruth. Understand? I think I understand why you didn't. Based on the fact that work is your life. The law was your life. You loved that. You had a few loves in your life. You had your husband and the law, kids, but your husband passed away and you'd spent forever with him. And the thought process in my mind is you needed it. You needed to stick around. But now what? Well, Trump has his choices, I think, in front of him. Originally there was 3, and we're hearing there's still 3, but the reality is it's a 2-person race.
At the top of President Trump's list, federal appeals court judge Amy Coney Barrett, a devout Catholic who has strong support among religious conservatives and anti-abortion activists. Also under consideration, U.S. Circuit Judge Barbara Lagoa, a Cuban-American whom Republicans hope could help the president win Latino voters in the battleground of Florida.
I don't really... Hey, he nominated a Latina, so we should vote for him. Is that how that works? First of all, does anybody know even all the justices? I mean, does anybody know all of the justices right now? Could you name all of the justices? I'm just talking about the average person at this moment in time. Like, you've heard of some, but could you? Probably not. Most people probably couldn't. By the way, as they lay her in rest today, this is what they're doing. She's lying in repose. Public viewing will happen. Today, the building is closed to the public, though. It was very emotional watching them bring her in with the flag draped over her coffin. And it's again, don't have to like her politics. You can respect her as a human being, and you should. And you absolutely should. The fact that we have to have these kind of conversations is ridiculous. By the way, I'm just going to throw it out there for those of you guys who don't know who they are. Brett Kavanaugh, we all know him. Dubbed by the left, Rapey McRepperson. Neil Gorsuch, boring. Elena Kagan, Sotomayor, Samuel Alito, Stephen Breyer, Clarence Thomas, Chief Justice Roberts. There you go. If you needed to know. Who got through the easiest of the group that's up here? John Roberts smoked, he cruised through 78-22. And Stephen Breyer, 87-9. It's pretty good. Kavanaugh, 50-48. Gorsuch, 54-45. Kagan, 63-37. Sotomayor, 68-31. Alito, 58-42. I think what you're hearing here, Thomas was 52-48. What you hear here is the Democrats inherently are against any appointee, and the Republicans are a little bit more giving, minus Merrick Garland. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Somebody's going to go, see, you would say that. I'm just read you how close the votes were. When a Republican was up -1, it was virtually a skin of the teeth battle. Sotomayor and Kagan, they were in the high 60s. Breyer, 87. So, but here we are, and we've producer Phil and I have been chatting, and we've come up with the way to fill her seat and for her legacy to live on. It's just we're just going to have 3 from each team, if you will, Republican and Democrats. So there you go. Right, so we have 3. So the Republicans are going to have to draw straws. So Chief Justice Roberts, you're sticking around. We're probably going to go with Gorsuch and Kavanaugh because they've been around in the short time. So Clarence, sorry. We're going to have to ask you to step away. And then we're going to bring 3 just regular people. We're going to do a reality show. It's going to be awesome. And then they'll hear cases. That way we get a sense of what America's feeling. All right? We'll have somebody who's totally an independent. We'll have somebody who's on the left and somebody's on the right. And we'll just let them go. See what happens. People pay more attention, I bet. People are like, we should really watch tonight. Because that Steve guy, his last thing that he wrote, nah. That was his dissent. I'm thinking no. Somebody just doodled something. God, I'm bored. This sucks. That would be fun. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. This, Producer Phil, you love your dog. You love your cats.
I do.
Yeah, Producer Phil has cats. He stole from his girlfriend. Basically they switched. He's like, we don't like you anymore because that's cats, right? Like dogs are different though. People like there's dogs. They just, I love you. You're the best. I love you. I love you. That's dog. So, how do humans feel though when it comes to technology? This is interesting. Surveyed over 1,000 smartphone owners, which is the first 1,000 people we run into across all 50 states to find out which pleasures Americans would sacrifice to keep said smartphone. So here we go. 40% of respondents would rather be separated from their dog over their smartphone for a month. 44% of millennial respondents would rather be separated from their significant other for a month. So first they'll keep their smartphone, then they'd rather hang out with a dog than you. 72% of respondents said they would rather be separated from alcohol than their smartphone, and 64% said they give up coffee before they give up their smartphone. 6 out of 10 males would rather be separated from the smartphone than have sex for a month. I was asked the males. Gen Z respondents would much rather give up sex for a month to the tune of 56% than lose their smartphone. 44% would say, you know what, I'd rather do jury duty for 5 days than give out my smartphone. And 47% of respondents would rather stay with their in-laws for a month than be parted from that smartphone. And it's very interesting. And when they talked about other things like, okay, what would you sacrifice to keep your smartphone? 70% say they give up Netflix. 60% say they give up Instagram. 41% say they give up TV, movies, music, podcasts for a month. And 53% say they give up the beach all summer. And for those of you who don't live near the beach, think of something outdoorsy that you would give up. Like, I like going to the lake or whatever. Which pleasure would keep you, right, and sacrifice you permanently to keep your smartphone? For females, they would permanently sacrifice exercising to the tune of 54%. For males, 58%. And everybody else is lying. Permanently sacrifice Target or Amazon or your smartphone. 57% said they'd rather keep Target and Amazon. But I don't have my phone. But you have a computer. It's not the same thing. And I think one of the reasons that the smartphone, because it's not a phone, let's be real, it's a computer. How many of you actually use it to talk to people? Very few, maybe once or twice a day, if that. So it's a computer, and in this day and age, because we are so intertwined with technology, in some ways it's kind of an extension. It's got your life on there. It's got everything you do. So many things on there, from work to filming to everything with your family and all. So it's somewhat of an extension of you at this moment in time. It's like carrying around all of your files and everything. 61% say they keep their smartphone over taking a vacation ever. That's nuts. Understand that. How much would you be willing to pay to keep your smartphone for a month? Right? So what would you be willing to pay? Some people are nuts. Some people are willing to pay $500 to $1,000. Other people are willing, like the baby boomers, because they can afford it. 66% said they'd spend more money to keep it for a month. If the thought process, I'd lose it. Gen Z, 54%. 60%. Gen X, 54%. Millennials, 40%. Some people are, I love my smartphone too, and because I keep up with everything, and it's what I do for a living. But some of that's like, people say, could you give up your animals? I'm like, no, I would never give up my animals. That's stupid. Because I have I love my critters. But if we think about it, though, like how, and you and I talk about this 1,000 times, Phil. You leave your house, you forgot your wallet, but you got your phone, you'll be fine. If you leave your phone, you're going to turn around and go get it.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. You do. And now you go back and get your mask. Or I'll go buy a mask. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Car Shield is amazing. 24/7 roadside assistance. Rental car for free while your car's in the shop. That shop, you choose it. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. It's that simple. Let's say you've got a car that you're worried about with the air conditioning. You're worried about the heater in the car. You're worried about the electronics in the car. What do? CarShield has a protection plan to help you with those cover repairs. Let's say you're worried about the transmission, the engine. They have a plan that's right for you and your budgets. Plans start as low as $99 a month. It's truly that easy. You just call them up. 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. That saves you 10%. Explain exactly what you're looking for. They have a plan that is right for you. CarShield.com, CarShield.com. Check them out for yourself. Save yourself 10% by using code Benson or call 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
The risk posed by novel coronavirus has affected every facet of American life, from where we work to how we learn, right down to
trick-or-treat!
The CDC recommends a virtual costume contest, a scary movie night with the people you live with, or an in-home scavenger hunt. Higher risk activities include crowded indoor parties, hayrides, or traditional trick-or-treating. The CDC takes special note of the dangers of visiting haunted houses where you or the people around you are likely to be screaming, potentially spreading viruses.
And because they're haunted. Oh, my God, there's a demon here trying to possess me. I'm not worried about that. You could have the coronavirus. Let your kids trick-or-treat. Some things you just have to go, If you are elderly and you like to do this, there's probably ways you can go around and get one of those little grabber things and you want to do that, or leave the candy out there and let them take one and watch from the door kind of thing. So let the kids trick or treat. Just enough. Kids are struggling. They're looking forward to this. My little ones are looking forward to this. I'm not going to not let them go out and do that. And if you don't want people coming to your house, just like every year, just turn your lights off. Get a sign that says, next year, COVID sucks or something. Let them have fun. It's ridiculous to think, well, we're just not going to do that. We're going to have a virtual, come on. My God. It is insane that we're at that point. But that's the point we're at. Go out in a smaller group than you normally would. Don't worry about what are you going to worry about the candy? Well, they could get COVID from the candy. Do you go to the grocery store? Well, yeah. Do you wash every single thing? No. Shut up, Chad. Start talking about the stupid courts again. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. What is the greatest album in the history of forever, in the history of albums? Rolling Stone speaking again.
Rolling Stone first put out its list of the top 500 albums of all time in 2003, with the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band at number 1. The list was refreshed in 2012, and now they've done it again, with industry experts from Beyoncé to Stevie Nicks weighing in. And there's a new number 1.
There's far too many of you die.
Marvin Gaye's 1971 protest album, What's Going On, takes the top spot, Rolling Stone calling it one of the most important and influential albums ever made. In second, 1966's Pet Sounds from the Beach Boys, Joni Mitchell's 1971 epic Blue in third.
Pet Sounds to me is the best album. Best album. Just across the board. But, don't argue with Marvin Gaye because his family will get you. Side one of Pet Sounds. Wouldn't it be nice? You still believe in me? That's not me. Don't talk. Waiting for a day. Let's go for a while. Sloop John B. Side two. God only knows. I know the answer. Here today. Pet Sounds. I wasn't just made for these times. Caroline, no. Some of the stuff that didn't make it. Good Vibrations. Wilson began writing the unfinished song between sessions. And he wanted to make an album that every single song on there would be, for all intents and purposes, the great earwig pop tune. And at the time, it just wasn't what was out there, and everybody wanted the Beach Boys to just, let's be the Beach Boys kind of thing, and it was just different. And then people look back and go, wow, that was amazing. It was incredible. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Check out Chad Benson Show TV. That's the YouTube. Go there. See what we put up? Have a blessed, wonderful day. We get you over the hump. We always do that. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.